Boop. Huh. Anyways. What did he say? You just remember, is this not the old walls? Do they not realize their presence here is forbidden? I mean, so is ours. Oh. Yeah, I don't want to get rid of it. How about for you? Oh, God, that minus in accuracy. Ugh. It sucks.
Will do.
The Fatebinder. How did you... I mean, welcome. Fatebinder, good day to you. As you might have observed, your presence comes as a bit of a surprise. It's an unexpected pleasure. I mean, to receive an esteemed servant of the court. Sage Lantry, how did you... What are you doing here?
I could ask the very same of you. Taking shelter in the old walls, that takes nerves of iron. Oh.
To squat in the old walls. It is a wonder the Bane have not rewarded their hubris with a painful death.
Well, this is unexpected. Though I'm glad to see you alive, my young friend. I'm not here to reminisce. I'm with the Fatebinder now, so I'll need to insist that you start explaining whatever it is you're doing here.
Well, welcome. I'm Scribe Mel of the Velham Citadel. Though the title means little here, I am simply Mel. You'll forgive me, we haven't been expecting company, so, what is this place? I struggle with the definition myself, truthfully. We call this place the Bastard's Wound, or just Wound for short. It's a refuge of sorts, a haven for folks displaced by war and poor decision-making. Everyone that's here discovered this place by chance, but remains by choice. The decor is unorthodox, to be sure, but it does come with the benefit of extreme seclusion. Huh. Okay. Not that we object to the court's presence, or that of the Archons. We simply thought it best to unburden you all with the weight of governance. I know you have better things to do than check up on us. We're fine, really. Everything is fine. You look past the scribe, taking note of the details in this cavernous area. Giant stone walls flank the space and ascend to the open sky, seemingly short apart from one another. Thunderous waterfalls that cascade down, nearly ringing the stone. Tiled islands that comprise the settlement. Though covered by damp moss and man-made tents, the stone architecture here is unmistakably of the old walls. What's all the commotion about? Visitors are always cause for alarm. Moreover, you aren't just any outsider. You're a Fatebinder. Too many. It's as if Tunon just strolled into our homes. To many, it's as if Tunon just strolled into our homes. Okay. I had a misunderstanding of that. I was like, too many. Too many what? Oh, too many. Like many people. Too many people. Too many. Okay. Also, strangely enough, how you say it, which could also make a big difference on how things work out. Anyways, your dispensation of justice could have profound ramifications if for a little known and technically hidden settlements such as ours. Some of the refugees here don't know your intentions. No doubt they have little to fear. Right? Why are you all here? Enter the old walls is forbidden. Of course, I can see why things might appear that way. If you look at this drawing of the area, we are by way of several fathoms below the old walls you see rising up. So who's to say if we're in the walls or really just underground? Fair point. Fair point. I mean, other than a fate binder, of course, I merely mean to suggest that there's some potential ambiguity as to whether we've really done anything wrong. Examine the parchment. Sketched upon the crumpled parchments is a cross-section of what appears to be old walls running through the mountainous region of the Bastard Tier. If this map is accurate, these old walls run almost entirely under the mountains. The upper reaches of these old walls are just a few stories above the valley floor. And judging from the map, the old wall slopes upward as it travels north and slopes downward as it heads south. Permissible of this settlement depends upon its contribution to the court and its officers. Yes, of course, absolutely. He nods. Oh, you mean right now? Well, I can certainly provide a modest contribution. Yeah, you did. We don't use rings often as we did on the surface, so it may take me a moment. Loosens the pouch and jams his hand inside. Aha! Here you are, Fatebinder. We appreciate your generosity, Fatebinder. I hope that you will come to appreciate the wound in time. No doubt you have many questions of us. I shall do my best to acquaint you with this outpost. Is there anything I can help you with? I have questions about the wound and its history. The analysis and creation of historical documents was one of my chief areas of focus and the Citadel. And I've had enough time to acquaint myself with the particulars of this place. So I suppose I'm the person to ask. That's why I just asked. What would you like to know? I love people sometimes. You ask them a simple question, like, I like to ask you some questions about this place. They'll ramble on. He's like, I can do this and this and this, and I can tell you about this and this and this. So it's like, dude, stop putting words into my mouth. Gonna head off. Internet is acting up. Not a problem. Hope to see you next time, Grouchy. Hope the internet gets well. Interesting. Well, anyways, how did everyone get here? This place was discovered 3 years ago by braver and more adventurous souls than Master Examen and I. We're relative newcomers, going on about a year at this point. When Cairn smashed Rostrom's Vorus Manor, his supporters fled into the cracked mountainside and discovered this place. At the time, life here with the Bane sounded better than life at war with the Archons. From there, the settlement grew in spurts. We are far off the beaten path, so visitors are rare, but the few we've gotten have often made this place home. Not every encounter with the outside has been positive. When some disfavored found us, things got ugly fast, but the bloodshed was limited and the survivors joined us in the end. A bit reluctantly. Huh. What do you know about this place? A remarkable place, is it not? We have no idea how old this corner of the old walls happens to be, but the tunnel leading into it came into being a few years ago. Kieran's fury was unleashed in the battle on the top side, and whatever powers he used split under the mountains and fractured these old walls. He points upward past the crashing waterfalls and towards the exposed sky. Okay. Cracked the whole damn old walls in half, and now sunlight and water are here for the first time ever. Makes me wonder if there are other old walls like this, that are hidden from view to those of us just walking the surface. How do you survive in this place? What do you eat? You get enough sunlight to cultivate the crops in the upper levels. Cabbage, mash root, radishes, mushrooms, even mushrooms even. Cabbages, carrots, cabbages, potatoes, mushrooms even. The biggest challenge here is drinking water. Despite appearances, it's a rat. He leans forward while speaking, his tone energetic. It's a rather interesting phenomenon, actually. Something in Old Wall's environment leaches into the water and corrupts it, producing a most curious disease in the afflicted. There's no fever or chills, bleeding, vomiting, or whatever you have, or what have you. But you will waste away over time as if one were starving. Tidecaster Wagstaff. Oh, devised a method to magically treat the water. Oh, okay. So it sounded familiar, but is that somebody we know? Anyway, devised a method to magically treat the water, rendering it safe to consume, and with curative properties for those already sick. The solution is a bit slow at making large amounts, but fortunately, Jaspos constructed some stone aquifers. Water poured into these aquifers will drain a few hours later and emerge purified. Between the contributions, we're able to make the wound a proper home, so long as the two keep their squabbling to a minimum. Do the Bane not threaten you? He nods absentmindedly, rubbing the dried ink between his fingers. Yes, of course, but we have a system for that. We've met our greeting party in the cave. I take it. No, you've met our greeting party in the cave. I take it. Incidentally, what happened to? He shakes his head, dismissing the thought. It doesn't matter. The point is that we have a contingent of beastmen with us, and they've adapted exceedingly well to the old walls and show little fear of abominations. They've been perfectly eager to dig their claws into any that come our way. It's surprising that it even works. By the way, but who might argue? At any rate, they keep the entry point to the wound clear and seem content to keep doing so. In fact, I dare say some of them have come to love hunting the Bane, or just have a death wish, and that's why they volunteer for a patrol day after day. Oh. Let's speak of other matters. What do you do here? Well, what don't I do? Someone has to inventory the supplies, take census, ledger trades. All pretty unexciting, I assure you. I happen to like playing steward. Balancing numbers is easy for me, and I have far more responsibilities than I ever did as a mere scribe at the Citadel. Aren't you a bit young for his age? If I were a tenured sage, that may well be true, but I'm just an apprentice. Many of the guilds scribe for decades before attaining rank. As the school is no more, I suppose I'll never officially be counted among the sages, but I am making my contribution to knowledge in my own ways. My master thinks similarly, though I think the loss of the school means more to her. I had a few years to know the other sages. She had a few decades. Where's your master? Master Alexim is sadly not among us. He vanished into the lower levels some time ago. She wasn't herself. Life here is rather complicated, and the old walls bless us with numerous mysteries. One of those is unending sleeplessness, an affliction that drove her mad. Alexim, she's alive, so she survived the Edict of Fire. Friends of yours? Sage Lexime and I go way back. She joined the school a year before I did. So we were more or less, so we more or less ran the paces together. If she's alive, why didn't she try to find me? Did you try to contact all the other stages you thought were alive? Right. We try not to cloud the skies with missive birds. That would just give the enemy something to follow. Like me, she proudly tried to avoid detection. Light a signal fire. Were you two rivals or friends? Both. We were chroniclers, so there was competition of sorts, but I think I'm allowed to say we got along well enough. Not that many of our friendships survived my politics. I was in favor of surrendering the school to Kairos. Hardly a popular outlook. Ah. Last I know, she went to the depths of the old walls. To me, that's a death sentence, especially if she's no longer able to work her magic. What? So sorry, I wish you had stumbled upon us sooner. Maybe you could have reconnected with her. Her mind was dwindling, and I know she was fixated on making sure everything she carried out of the Elium Citadel was hidden and safe. She and I hid one such cave over by the farm. The others are, I presume, deeper in the old walls. Like seeing new and old sage trick that conceals the stashes, making them fade from view unless another chronicler stands near. When her mage began fading, she made a rush to conceal things. But aside from the one stashed in the farm, only she knows where the rest lay. Who's in charge here? Unfortunately, that's a matter of debate at the moment. For a while, two men in particular led this settlement. Tidecaster Wagstaff, who has been here the longest, and Forge-bound Master Jaspos. Forge-bound. They made it possible to survive here, but rarely see things eye to eye. Were their conditions here not so fragile, I'm certain they would have come to blows ages ago. There was also a beast woman, Reef Talon, really quite a remarkable creature, actually. She held this place together and kept tempers at bay until fairly recently. She was as worthy a leader as we've seen in the wound, but she's no longer with us, so the bickering between Daspos and Wagstaff continues. What happened to her? What happened to Reef Talon? Reef Talon was our bulwark against not only the Bane, but death itself. She had a mystic gift, or so we thought. Her touch brought everyone, the wounded, the sick, the dying, back from the edge, but it changed them. The curse wasn't noticeable at first, but seemingly without fail, those healed would slowly but surely stop sleeping. Oh, a minor malady at first, but a cumulative one. As days and weeks go on, they lose themselves. Depression, malaise, paranoia, unending unto itself. My master Lemix was treated by Reef Talon, and in her case, she lost her ability to work magic. Between this and some disputes about whether it's proper for a beast woman to lead humans resulted in a Reef Talon leaving the wound, disappearing into the depths of the old walls. Many of the sleepless followed. The sleepless that left haven't returned, so it's hard to be optimistic about any of this. That's an unusual power. Can't say I've ever heard of a beast man mystic that does such things. I regret not being a better student of the Beastman magics, but I concur. This is most unusual. What's stranger still, Reeve Talon did not boast about being a mystic, and beasts are nothing if not boastful. I have a hypothesis. Perhaps she slew so many Bane their sickly powers have soaked into her very touch. But it's just speculation. All I know for sure is scores of lives were inadvertently ruined by her healing gift. And folks here have some complicated feelings towards Reef Talon. Huh. That's interesting. None have recovered, unfortunately. The end result appears to be inevitable. Still, I can't help but wonder if Reef Talon could have corrected this. It's a shame. You should know, Fatebinder, that there are a small number of people that have been treated by Reef Talon but haven't fully lost their grip on things. Jaspo's apprentice, Esley, for one. It is, though, just a matter of time until the worst sets in. Beast Woman was in charge? That is a bit unusual. Indeed, but Reef Talon is the most unusual beast. She's a lot more focused, patient, and sensible than all other beasts I've ever encountered. Anyway, Reef Talon was able to organize beasts and humans into effective patrols against the Bane. With her in charge of defense, casualties dropped. No Bane ever slipped into the common area, and disputes between beasts and disputes all but disappeared. At a certain point, it seemed foolish not to have her in charge. Huh. We've had a few beastmen wander into our refuge, and I don't know how or why, but life here changes them. I don't know if it's the Bane, something in the water, something about the magics of this place. After a span or two living with us, most beastmen just seem to become a bit more civilized, relaxed. Maybe speak to some of our beastmen. Perhaps you'll agree. Okay. Tell me about Jespos. Look for the broad-shouldered man with the booming voice. He's almost always talking about his frustration on some poor rock or boulder that's just there by his forge. And Jaspo and his two apprentices have arrived sometime after Wagstaff. I think we worried he'd be a true loyalist and demand we surrender to the Kairos. But he's taken a shine to this place and is trying to create his own little corner of Terrace. I think he likes the seclusion and being surrounded by a variety of rock types. He built most of the bridges you see here. Oh. Okay. I think he likes the seclusion. Okay. He built most of the bridges you see here. Some cisterns to filter water. He's a one-man work crew, and he knows it, unfortunately. He has more than a few supporters, particularly since he created those purifying aquifers. The water here causes illness, and without his help, most of us wouldn't have enough clean water to drink. How about Wagstaff? Prickly old fella, Wagstaff. One of the last tidecasters in the tiers. I believe. His kind were enemies to Kairos, true, but I'm certain he has no personal designs against the Overlord. I wonder what would have happened if I had brought Shadows That Kill and Nebby. I think it's, oh god, I don't remember it. Anyways, he's not one for pleasures or charisma of any sort, but he is a master of his craft. He was the first to treat the toxic waters in these old walls, and to date, it's the only cure that works. The wound would be in bad shape without him. Huh. As you turn to leave, you see Lantry lost in thought, rubbing his cerulean ink between his fingers. So tell me more about this Maxime person. She's an old friend of mine, and by now you've already detected the understatement in my voice, so ask your question. An old love interest, I presume? You presume correctly. We were deeply intimate for the better part of 15 years. Wow. The school gave up long ago trying to make rules against fraternization, and, well, we took full advantage of living in the modern era of the school of ink and quill, when sages could do away with furtive copulation and the foolish attempts to curb the natural inclination of scholars to rut. It was her magic I loved most. She was gifted, truly gifted. She could achieve these little accents on her spells that none of us could replicate. At first, I had nothing but envy and hate for her, but somewhere along the line, it became an adoration. And I just hoped to Kairos that if I rubbed up against her enough, maybe some of her talent would rub off onto me. No such luck. You were so close, why didn't you flee the Citadel together? And there was a time when we were inseparable. I learned much of my magic from her and her from me. We are each other's mentor and student. This is a very special sort of bond. But it was a relationship that I followed through my own convictions. In the 15 years before Kairos' conquest, I urged our school to surrender, and urge is an understatement. Rapidly advocated would be a better apt description. Lexime did not share my assessment of Kairos or my opinions on what must be done. I was in the dissenting minority, and most felt I was a traitor, Lexime included. But I wasn't about to back off from my belief that surrender was the right idea. Considering what came to pass, I feel justified in my stance. While I normally adore being right about things, in this particular case, my tomb-sent smugness maybe isn't worth the friendship it all cost me. Damn. What do you make of her condition? From the sound of it, she was afflicted with a sleeplessness, but by all accounts, madness would naturally follow. But if she's down in the old walls and enfeebled, she'd be easy prey for the Bane. Heard of anything like this before? Well, there are all manner of magics that kill a person slowly. Where to begin? I'm more perplexed that she, and by the sound of it, others too, were first healed and then grew ill. So you two worked on the Chronicler together? We were but two members of a team that spanned generation, but yes, we both contributed to the Chronicles. Long bouts of field work and longer stretches of authority are findings suited, authoring our findings suited our temperament. My colleagues insisted original research was the way to make a name for myself, but the accounting of everything is a cause greater than us all. Lexime saw the Chronicle as half recorded the things that were and half recorded how things ought to be. To her, each moment we recorded it's really hard to read sometimes. And plus, there's a lot of reading, so my throat is not getting there. To her, each moment we record offers on universal insights into record. Like I said, how you pronounce something sometimes changes how a sentence. To her, each moment we record. Record offers universe. Word offers. Okay, never mind. This is sounding so weird to me. Anyways, record offers universal insights. Record offers universal insights. How the hell do you supposed to pronounce that in that way? Into how people will act in the future. I take the more modest stance that you can't stand in the same river twice, and the same general can't fight the same war twice. So history is of limited predictive power. Forgive me, you didn't ask for the nuance of our philosophical debates. My mind just went. Sorry, just like sometimes it's really hard for me to read a word, read a sentence. What did you make of these chronicle fragments she asked us to find? My heart sings every time I can safeguard a text against destruction. Still, there is something bothering me about these writings. Let's look around a bit more, shall we? Ask me again when I have a few pieces to compare. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Is this Sage Limix? Oh! Oh! Quill in hand, you loom over a blank sheet of parchment. You have binder Mythos contact information, hand, and contemplate your opening words. Oh. Intriguing. But there's a merchant here. Hold on. Let's okay, that apparently that's a merchant we can't really talk to. Oh. Apparently, that's actually Encounter in the Bastard Tier. A group of the youths about a dozen years of age are at play just outside a ramshackle farming village. 3 of the youths wield crude knives and axes carved from the solid planks of wood. They face off against a team of younger children with scraps of brightly dyed cloth tied to the wrists, ankles, and necks. They eagerly volunteer that they're playing Bane and Riders. It's a local variation of game played by children all across Terradus, in which the armed children attempt to sneak some small treasure, in this case, a shard of well-polished clay, out of an area designated the old walls without being caught by the opposing team, whose members portray the Bane. Knowing that such games tend to be most popular in areas where Bane have recently prowled, you ask the youths if there have been any recent sightings. They excitedly inform you that just last week a farmer heard their howling and saw their glow from the direction of the nearby old walls. Pursue the Bane. You soon find yourself in the shadow of the towering ancient edifice. Continuing along their length, it's not long before you make out the sounds of your query. Well, let's do this. Here we go.
Send me your take me if you can.
Means you could probably do a Rhyme Spike, which would be good.
Once.
That one hurt me hard.
All right, now follow that up with. Oh, did you already do it? These. Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Don't know my own strength.
Ooh! Ooh! I think it was a crit or something.
Pay attention, kids. You might learn something. Consider it done.
Come and face my iron.
Ooh, nice, stun. Nope. Just continue attacking.
I'll tear your skeleton out by your ass! Another scar? Fine!
Excuse me.
Sorry, I can't.
Awesome. Got it. Did it, chat. Oh, they're not there anymore. Oh, well then. Okay. Well then. Yeah. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I may have to actually look this one up because I have no idea. Well, let's get back to here. All right, so this place is interesting. Okay, so I can't do anything until I talk with Master Jumpers, correct? Ah, a weird-looking man observes you through dark, sunken eyes, nodding fearfully as you approach. Fadaminer, greetings to you. Rostrum Lenk, son of the late Rostrum Lamfalas. I saw you in the Bastard City shortly after Tunon's arrival. We've come a long way from then, haven't we? You'll want to speak to Wagstaff. Gotcha. So yeah, you need to speak to... Okay. More heavy armor. Great. Well, guys, I will have to say, though, I think it's time to call it a stream. Thank you guys for coming out. Hope you had yourself a